Athi-Patra Ruga is probably one of the most sensational living South African artists. I mean the word sensational specifically because it's a high stagey drama which he shares with Wycliffe Mundopa, a sense of an exaggerated world. Now, this exaggeration is not simply the domain of camp, as it's commonly and typically thought to be. This exaggeration is also about an urgency. Because, as Nietzsche said, it is useful to exaggerate when dealing with emergencies. So this is the world we're living in, so that larger-than-life quality that Athi-Patra Ruga has is about trying to showcase the urgencies of the world we live in and the transformations we need to engage into if we are to make it a better place. Now, in terms of the work we're seeing here, it's of course in one of the most popular mediums at the moment, textiles, which is the way, again, as I mentioned earlier, that South Africans transform materiality has often been astonishing and inspiring. And in this case, the work of tapestry. Now, tapestries are usually associated in the medieval age with church narratives. You know, tapestries are the forms used to tell stories about well-being, about transformation, about transfiguration. They're very much within that tradition. Here, what has happened is Athi-Patra Ruga is taking tapestry to actually do exactly that, but shape-shifted. So in this particular artwork, which we're seeing here, it takes on Christian iconography, but alters it. The classic being the mother and child. Except here, the mother is the father, is the mother, is a gender-fluid personage where the whole idea of contrasting categories, mother and father, make less and less sense. So it's also a self-portrait of the artist. But at the same time, the figure that he is holding is very much the iconic child from biblical, but also from Renaissance paintings. See, Athi is very clearly discernibly himself in that image. The child is an iconic biblical and Renaissance figure. So we have that tension in which the artist in the living world and an inherited art tradition come together in one moment. The other interesting thing about it, and when I looked at this tapestry myself, I was very confused by those discs that seem to be flying outward and towards us and flying backward away from us. When I first looked at it, I thought of handcuffs. I thought, what the hell are these things? And then I thought of halos, but then they twinned. And then they in a gray steel rather than in a golden hue. But what did they mean? And then I saw at the back a collapsed, I think, policeman or ambulance van. And then I suddenly realized, hold on a second, what's going on here? Here's a space that is at once beatific, the father and child, but at the same time it's caught in this jarring world of mayhem and chaos. So it's in that instability again we see the fusion of the realms of faith and tradition and the instability of the modern urban moment. It's in that tension that the work actually dramatizes the instability of now. But the instability of now is not just commented on and said, this is the way the world is. He's saying, hold it a second. Yes, life is unstable, life is dangerous, but at the same time, there is room for transfiguration. There is possibility for grace. So it's that balancing act that this artwork dramatizes. What it also does is something interesting because Andrew Pater and Andre Forster were two young men in the 1990s who started what is called the Mother City Queer Project. Now, the reason I think that was very interesting to me is because what they declared in their manifesto, they said that queerness is not cut and dried. Queerness is an attitude. The reason I find that interesting is that basically anyone, irrespective of their gender, their sexual orientation, can be queer in one way or another. Because queerness is a way of deconstructing, breaking down normative values. And anybody and everybody who has any radical edge is able to be queer, to perform queerness. And I think queerness then becomes a very, very enlivening and exciting and rather radical space to occupy. And it's in that much more incorporative idea of queerness that AthiPatra Ruga performs and tells us how we can live stronger, healthier, and more radical lives.